live BarkerCast audio commentaries.
Thanks to your generous donations to our Kickstarter funding campaign,
Clive Barker Podcast presents Fundraiser 9.
Celebrations!
Welcome. This is episode 450 of the Clive Barker Podcast, and we've got Ed and Nina with us today. Good morning, Ed and Nina.
Hello.
Hey.
I am your blind podcaster from the San Francisco Bay Area.
There we go. And I'm Jose, as usual.
And I'm Ryan, and this is episode 450. And so on this episode, we're returning to Clive Barker's A to Z of horror, his recommendations for horror movies, and in particular, Z is for zombies, and we're on Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn.
Dead by Dawn, Dead by Dawn, Dead by Dawn.
Yeah.
I'll swallow your soul.
Yeah.
It's
That's right.
it was a fun movie. I was watching it last night, and I posted about it on Facebook, and then Ryan, you told me, "Hey, I'm watching too. What a coincidence!" And
Yeah.
and then I called Ed a little bit, and we were talking about today. And I also watched the making of the movie, which had I think it was Robert Kurtzman, Greg Nicotero, and Howard Berger talking about the special effects,
and Mark Shostrom, who is the leader of the team.
That's right. And I guess today we're going to be having some fun watching the second movie of this Evil Dead franchise.
Yeah. I've got it paused right before Rosebud. I think that's probably the best place. The iTunes version of it is what I've got on my screen right now, and it started out with some other opening thing that's probably not on every version. So I skipped past that one, and I went straight to the Rosebud one, because I know that's going to be on everybody's copy.
That's true. Mine starts with a warning that says this film contains scenes which may be too intense for people under the age of 17.
Yes.
Okay.
I have it paused on the Rosebud right now.
As usual, we'll be talking through the movie. So if you want to sync up with us, we'll do a quick countdown, and you can hit play, and then we can be synced up with the movie. So, Nina, would you like to do the honors today?
Sure. 3, 2, 1, play.
Yay. Look at that Rose go. Yeah.
Now that's stop motion, and that was done as a special, fake film company because this film was originally not getting financing, and they were worried about getting it made. And it just so happened that Stephen King is the one who helped them. They were making, Stephen King was making his own first directorial debut, and he was on the set when one of the people who was originally working on Evil Dead 2 went onto the set of the Stephen King film, the one where all the mechanical things go haywire, and there's a truck with a big green goblin head on it and stuff. I forget what that movie's called.
Maximum Overdrive.
Yes, Maximum Overdrive. Anyways, that was a Dino De Laurentiis production, and the filmmaker, Stephen King, was friends with these guys. Like these guys that made Evil Dead, he gave them a great quote, which really helped their career with the first Evil Dead. And so when he found out what that girl was working on, like Stephen King, says so what you been working on? And she said, I was trying to help those guys that made Evil Dead, but they can't get financing. And he says, what? I'll talk to Dino. So he went and talked to Dino De Laurentiis, and bick, bang, boom, they got their financing.
Nice. And
that's why they had to create that Rosebud thing, because they had to create like a fictitious company so that they could make the film under this fictitious company name.
Right. So we got the opening scene here, which just came out of this dark tunnel, and we've got Ash and his girlfriend. They, like you said, Ed, they didn't have the rights to their first movie, right? So this was a Dino De Laurentiis production, and the other one was not. So
the other one was, I think, New Line had the rights.
Right, New Line, that's right. And so they kind of did a sort of a soft reboot for this one, right?
Yeah, Bruce Campbell likes to call it a requel.
A requel, that's right.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because the whole timeline of Evil Dead 1 is all covered with this one, but they pretty much rewrite everything that happened in Evil Dead 1 in this movie. So if you just want to know what happens, you don't really have to watch Evil Dead 1.
Right. That's what they wanted. They wanted this one to be able to stand on its own.
Yeah.
So the opening, they gave us a little bit of an intro with the lore about the Necronomicon Mortis, right? Which is the Book of the Dead, except if you translate it directly, it's Necronomicon Mortis, Book of the Dead of the Dead.
Necronomicon. It's the Necronomicon Ex Mortis.
That's right.
Which is H.P. Lovecraft.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's also a mix of Latin and Greek, right?
Well, that's the way that the Abdul al-Hazad, the guy who translated the Necronomicon, and there's
Mad Arab.
Yes, all these crazy languages that it's been translated from and into and everything.
Yeah,
but this movie kind of takes that.
But
this movie kind of takes that and makes it its own. It kind of adds a lot more lore to that stuff, and like you said, it brings the idea that there were these Kandarian demons that could be brought into our world and take form using the corpses of dead people, and that's what we're going to see here. So,
and Kandar is a fictitious place, right? I mean, I think
correct.
that,
and they made
I think
Castle's ruins is where they found the book.
Yeah, but everybody speaks English in Kandar.
Yeah, that's right. We got Professor Raymond's recording here. He's going to add a little bit more detail to it.
Which is interesting. That man's voice that you hear on the tape recording.
Yeah.
I believe also the narrator at the very beginning of the film who talks about, the ex mortis and all that. He was the guy who used to be on AMC television, the voice of AMC television. And they had to get him because the original guy that did the first movie's voiceover stuff, I don't know what happened. They couldn't get him for some reason. At least Bruce Campbell said they couldn't find him or whatever. But, that voice was the guy who did the first movie, was the guy who used to do those TV announcements on movie theatrical releases, like coming to your theater this week, and all that. Yep.
Nice.
So, one interesting thing that's different between Evil Dead 1 and 2 is something that you had mentioned off camera like a while back, but Jose, is that they don't bring all those their like, college
friends.
Buddies or, friends in the car with them. It's just Ash and Linda. And then other people just show up later, which is a big difference from the first movie. And it also is a little problematic when you're trying to figure out all the sequence of events, because in Ash versus Evil Dead, they talk about, they call him Ashy Slashy, and they say that he brought his sister up to the cabin in the woods and killed her.
That's the TV.
And in this movie, his sister's not even here.
That's right.
Right. Well, in the first movie, that sister is Sister Cheryl down in the basement, popping her head up and down. The thing is that, I've heard them talk about the continuity and the difference between the TV series and the movies and stuff. And partly the reason why they had to make the TV series the way they did was, again, for the same reason that, like, New Line Cinema owned, the rights to the first film's footage. And so they couldn't use that footage again,
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. So,
but they still connected it. But they connected it more to the first movie and not as much to Evil Dead 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I saw a segment once on YouTube with Bruce Campbell. He was explaining how you could connect the first movie and the second movie into one seamless movie. It's like at the end of the first movie, he said, if you want, at the part of the end of the first movie where the
you
demon on wheels,
all the beginning.
The demon on wheels is coming through the house and hits Bruce Campbell. It goes like and it ends the movie.
Yeah,
you can cut to.
A lot of people think that he's dead. He got killed right there.
Right.
Yeah.
But he said you can cut that with the second movie right at the part where Ash gets carried off by the demon on wheels. And he gets taken through the woods and hits all the branches and then hits the tree and falls down. It's like, if you cut that movie with this movie, he says, I promise it'll make total sense. And I'm like, okay, cool.
It has to pick up toward the end of this second movie, and it opens the cabin door and you see out there the swirling, vortex and stuff. That's where you pick up. Is at the end of the first movie when the demon
right here.
To him. And then
right here. This is
Yeah.
where you cut at the end of the first movie. This part where Ash is like being taken through the woods and being smacked with all the branches. This is what Bruce Campbell said. If you cut at the end of the first movie with this part here,
right,
he says, I promise it'll make sense.
right, because then you
I
end
don't
up,
know. I never tried it, but I'll give it a shot.
and then you end up in Army of Darkness.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Hail, he who has come from the sky to deliver us from the terrors of the Deadites.
You know who that is? The actor who says that in this film?
No, who's that?
Sam Raimi.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, I love this sequence where he raises from the puddle and he's been taken over by the demon in the woods.
The white eyes. I love
the
white eyes.
And that gorgeous glass painting or wherever they did for the sunset. And it's really beautiful.
What's really cool is how they have a fake head of him and they put, the white eyes, like when his head comes up out of the puddle, his head is all with white eyes. Well, then when the sun rises, the evil goes away. So his eyes turn from white to regular eyes.
Well, you see that milky thing.
Well, that's how they did
swirling.
it. They actually had liquid milk in a fake eye.
And they shot it in reverse.
They drained it or filled it. And that's how they did that effect.
It's a really good effect. It's really good attention to detail. But even just the reverse photography of the smoke coming out of the ground, it works so well. It's so effective. It's like the evil is recoiling from the sun.
Right, because the sun is coming up and it's all got to retreat.
So
and Ash gets kind of special treatment in this movie, right? Because everyone else who gets possessed gets chopped up with an axe or whatever. But Ash, he can like clear himself of it and he's fine. Yeah.
He's the chosen one.
Yeah, they added a prophecy to this thing, right? Which we'll see further in the movie.
Yeah.
He's the chosen one. He is a very muscular actor in this movie. He's a very physical. There's a lot of physicality to this role. It's unbelievable. And
I know all the Crockett hitting himself in the head with crockery and everything.
Bruce Campbell was built to be a leading man.
Even if they were props, it's still like he's probably still hurting himself.
That's right.
Well, now that he's old, like when he did, Ash versus Evil Dead TV series, he started complaining about like, I'm going to get a stuntman. I'm not going to do all this no more.
Yeah. Can't blame him.
The introduction goes by really fast, doesn't it? Because his girlfriend is killed off screen. And then he just buries her in the peat.
Yeah,
and,
basically, as soon as they open the door, almost it's like really fast compared to the first movie.
Yeah, they play a little piano, and then he says, like, let's have some champagne. And, he walks off screen or something. The next thing you know, he finds the tape recorder, starts playing it. The evil has been unleashed. And the next thing you know, you hear a scream and a crash of glass, and she's gone from the film.
They get it out of the way real fast at the beginning of the movie. But
so they can get right into the action.
But
and what they called that was the Ramo cam. They had a camera on a 2x4, and they would it literally glass right through glass.
Look, the cabin is seeing a demonic presence with eyes and a mouth.
And
that was really good.
And the stoop, like his teeth, those rocks that they put in front of the
rocks and the stoop are the teeth, and the windows are the eyes. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, recently that's a model. It's a pretty big, good-sized model. But recently, Adam Savage from the Mythbusters show, he has a YouTube channel, and he just recently did a video where he showed that actual model today in 2024, being sold through the Prop House of London.
Oh, my God, it still existed. Wow. I got to say, there's a lot of excellent work in miniature here, like the bridge. When he drives up to the bridge, and the bridge has been destroyed and twisted.
Bent.
And all gnarly, and there's like these beams are like curled up like the fingers of a hand, right?
Like fingers of a hand,
It's good stuff. You can tell it's a painting, but it's just entertaining. It just takes you back to this kind of analog, special effect time where you really
nothing was digital. There's no digital.
You just really wanted to believe it. The suspension of disbelief was really fun to do.
It's funny how the sun went up like an hour ago, and now it just went down again, like right before his eyes in seconds.
We don't know how long he was unconscious, right?
Right.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but it also went down, while he was standing there looking at it.
Yeah.
Is this the car? Is this the car that Sam Raimi wants to put on every single movie of his?
Yes, he has. It's called the Oldsmobile 88 or something like that.
Yeah.
And he must have had more than one copy of it because it really gets destroyed. Like at the end of this movie, I think is the one where they drop it from a crane, in the medieval times, and it just slides down on the ground.
Yeah. I like the way that Sam Raimi uses camera movement to increase tension and also confusion. Like when he's driving and we're seeing the car drive, careening through the forest, and you're like, oh my God, he's going to hit a tree. And the camera is shaking like crazy, but it really works because it really makes you feel like you're going really fast and you're out of control.
Kinetic.
Yeah, in the dark when you can't even see.
Yeah. What was that, Ed? Kinetic
energy from those kind of shots.
That's right. It really adds to the confusion and man, look, this sequence where he's running through the house at one point is going to go into the wall and he's running inside the wall and like right now. And it's like this had to be choreographed really, really tightly because there's someone with a camera running after him in those tight spaces.
Oh yeah. Well, and this cabin is clearly bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Yeah. Was this built in a gym, right?
This is the first film that had a pretty decent budget, multi-million. And they built all these interiors inside of a high school.
Yeah, gym, right? Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it's 24 by 16 from the outside.
Well, they had what they call wild walls on the sets. Like, in other words, you can get the camera in by just removing a wall.
Oh, yeah. Because that's the advantage of having a set, that you can just move walls out of the way.
Right. And get crazy shots like ceiling down shots, through the floor up shots, all kinds of crazy stuff.
It's kind of a cozy cabin. When you see it in the beginning with the professor reading and his wife in the little rocking chair, it looks like a really cozy cabin. But by the end of it, this is going to look like a dump.
What's funny too is that lady, that she plays the wife of the professor and the mother of the girl, Henrietta is her name.
Right.
I think that actress must have only worked like one day because all the rest of the stuff is done with Sam Raimi's brother.
Ted.
And I think one of these airport worker guys is Greg Nicotero.
Oh, it could be, yeah.
It said on IMDb, it said uncredited.
I'll keep an eye out. I like how she has the pages of the Necronomicon Mortis in a little wooden case with a glass window.
It's like a shadow box frame.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she carries that through the woods under her arm. And like, couldn't you put that in a bag or something? I
think it's intended to show how precious it is.
Yeah.
Leave her side,
Yeah. So of course, it's good that they introduced these characters because this time the daughter of the professor, she also knows how to translate that. So that's going to come in handy further in the movie.
And even her boyfriend is actually an archaeological student as well. He was at the Darium dig as well.
It also makes for more interesting characters because there's a wider variety of people in this movie versus the first one, which is kind of nice. Yeah. I mean, the other guy from Evil Dead 1, you don't really remember him that well.
Yeah, that was. What was his name?
Ed, do you know how they make these shots, which are typical of Sam Raimi, where he stretches out the image? Is that reflected off of like a reflective Mylar thing, and then they shoot?
Sometimes that is exactly how it's done. In post production with like in a studio, with video and like all the model shots were done in post production in a studio.
Bruce Campbell in this sequence, he looks like he's teetering on the edge of sanity.
Yep.
It's inside the cabin.
He's so good at that.
I have to imagine, though, the continuity for his scratches and blood splashes on his face had to be crazy. They had to take a lot of Polaroids for that.
Yeah, I imagine that if you tried really hard, you could find inconsistencies with it, but I don't know that anybody, cares enough to do that.
And look how he boarded up all the windows. It's just a huge mess of like pieces of wood.
There's glass broken everywhere, and it's a mess. You know what though is interesting is have you guys known about the fact that they made the Evil Dead the musical theatrical production? We can go see it live.
I watched it in Las Vegas, the 4D show. Yes,
okay.
Awesome.
Well, then you know that the whole production is based on these movies, and there's like the same thing that happens in this movie where the animal mount on the wall starts going,
yes, the deer head. Oh, it's so creepy.
And they do that in the play on the theater.
They do.
Play too.
There's a splash zone in the play too, a little bit.
Yeah, if you're sitting up front, you're going to get covered in blood.
Yeah. And
like
there's
a concert.
Yeah.
Right. The show that I saw, the 4D, was at was it close to the Bellagio or something? It was in Vegas. It was several years ago, but I went in there and I saw it, and the daughter of the professor is in it, so it's basically Evil Dead 2 that they do for the musical, and it was really fun, and I love the songs that they include.
So what makes it 4D?
It's just that it's got special effects on stage, and there's a little bit of a splash zone.
Water hitting you in the face.
But I thought the fourth dimension was time.
Yeah.
Well,
you're stuck in a time loop where you're watching the play, so there's that.
Okay.
This is stop motion here. This character.
Yeah, it must have taken months.
No, it doesn't take that long. But what it did do, I mean, I know the two people that did the work here. Doug Beswick's company did the effects, and Steve Wang did the sculpture of that woman, that his girlfriend, with the head coming off and everything.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. So her head is still the head that he tore off with a shovel a while ago, but the body looks like it's more decayed, and I'm wondering, is that body another random body that was out there in the woods that reanimated? Because
she's got skeletal hands right now too, and it looks like it was her original body, as a living person.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's so. They're taking license with the demonic possession.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, the head just falling backwards.
Yeah, and there's a lot more in this movie of like Ash not knowing if he's going crazy or right. he just woke up in that chair like, what
just happened? Yeah. And then he sees that mirror effect. That's a great effect too.
Oh yeah, my God. I love that. That was super surprising when I saw it the first time.
Yeah, same.
But to me, my favorite scene of the possession kind of demonic scenes of the thing. Oh, the head just fell on his lap. Oh my God. Yeah. Is when the house is laughing and he's laughing and everybody's laughing. That to me is one of the best moments of the film. Oh, he just got bit.
In the hand where he bites the web of his thumb and his
This is slapstick right here. This is so cool. Yeah. It's like slapping that thing against the wall, hitting it everywhere. It's just hitting it with a book. Yeah. It's so funny and at the same time so weird, right?
You know what they coined a word for that? Splat stick.
Oh. Splat stick. I love it.
It's a little harder to say.
Yeah, because your brain is trying to think of slapstick.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is the reason why Sam Raimi is like this, the way he makes films, that have comedic and stuff, is he's a huge fan of the Three Stooges. All their early 8mm and amateur filmmaking was like copying skits from the Three Stooges, and they would have when Bruce Campbell was young, like when he was in college and stuff, they would stick Bruce Campbell in their films.
You can tell, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're coming up on the Vice scene here, and he's gonna stick the head of his girlfriend on the Vice, and this part is really funny, and it's done so well because the actress has her head through the Vice, and she's like acting there. So
I know it's really
going down.
They got this actress instead of the original. He talks about how the original girl, Ellen Weiss and stuff was not available.
Dude, the body just came in and holding the chainsaw. Oh my God, more body fluids.
Yep, it's splattering all over him. This is an example of where they had to use another color than red because they were afraid of the MPAA rating. And I think this film actually ended up going out unrated anyway. Or maybe it was PG-13 or something.
And wasn't there a third actress that played Linda in flashbacks on Army of Darkness?
Yes, again.
Bridget Nielsen, I think.
They keep having problems with getting the same girls to come back.
Yeah,
sure.
After they torture them nearly to death.
Yeah, a chainsaw, find some meat.
Oh yeah, I love how the chainsaw is like a puppet. Like the dead body of the girl has a chainsaw stuck in the neck, and Bruce Campbell had to operate that.
Yep.
It was puppeteered by him.
Oh, this is such a harrowing scene where he's gonna cut through his girlfriend's head.
Oh yeah, where she's
don't they just run it without a chain on it when he's holding it?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's movie making,
or
but
a fake
the
chain.
thing is that the concept is that he put her head in the vice, and now she's going back to the sweet innocent girl saying, "Oh, Ash, don't kill me," But I think he does stab her with the chainsaw in the head. Anyway.
Yeah,
they show it in silhouette, I believe.
Oh, he's coming out of it, and he's just stumbling his way from the work shed back into the house. I think this was a later addition to the script, the head in the vice scene and all that.
Oh yeah, and there's that obvious ADR moment before, right, where he says "work shed." When I was a kid,
that's funny that you mentioned that, because apparently Kurt Russell's son is a big fan of this, and when Bruce Campbell and Kurt Russell worked together on Escape from L.A., Kurt Russell said to him, "Say work shed." And he goes, "Why?" And he goes, "Because my kid loves when you say work shed." And
Oh, that's great. That's great.
When we were in high school, we always would make fun of that one scene, because it seemed like it was obviously put in after, like, he should probably say this.
Oh, he found the boomstick.
Yeah,
he found the boomstick. It's just laying there. I think it was I think I saw in the making of that the torso coming in with the chainsaw. That was Howard Berger operating that underneath the soundstage.
Oh,
but also they had to have Bruce Campbell himself as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, animating the puppet coming in the torso
from underneath. Yeah. From the ground.
Oh my God. Yeah. This scene is one of those where you're yelling at the actor the character to don't do this. Where he's going to reach his hand out and touch the chair.
The chair.
Don't go in the base.
So it seems like, I wonder if it's this that infects his hand, or the bite that Linda, when Linda bit his hand, or a combination of the two.
Yeah, I'd probably say the bite. It's more physical. Yeah. That's what I got out of it.
But it happens right after this, and then like he goes into this weird sort of state.
I know. It's like going crazy.
What's crazy though about the bite is that is the spot where if you ever hurt your web there between your thumb and your finger, that is where she bites, and you hear it going.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this scene. Totally fooled us that wasn't the actor there on the on the other side on our side. A little
weird on the eyebrows on the fake Ash, but apart from that, really good.
Well, yeah, they said on purpose they wanted to give him some evil eyebrows and a little different makeup. He's the evil version in the mirror,
and then he wakes up again and finds out he's choking himself because his hand has been possessed.
Or coming out of the mirror, supposedly. Yeah, I love that.
And then how his hand turns gnarly and hairy, and the nails get really, really long.
Yep, and all broken and yellow. The other thing too is the gravity effect of how they're using water as a reflective surface, and it's the mirror, but it's actually on the ground, and it splashes into the water. Yeah,
I think that's probably in a different part.
Yeah.
But this hand acting on its own and then grabbing his face is just another one of those like performances from Bruce Campbell that's just kind of wild. Because at some point it even looks like it's not really his hand. It's like, especially when he's on the floor and he's hitting himself with plates, it looks like his whole body is stopped except for his arm. It's just like bam, bam.
Yeah. He doesn't get enough credit, I think, for making that crazy thing that can you imagine reading the script for that and going, I'm supposed to do this? But he does such a great job making it believable.
Well, actually what happened was back in the day when they used to make their Three Stooges type movies, they would buy clay pottery that was unfired. And if you have a plate or something that's just greenware, they call it, and you bash somebody on the head with it, it just shatters and it doesn't hurt you. So he had been doing that for years. And he also learned how to flip himself. Like he can grab himself by the back of the car and flip himself. And he used to do that a lot at conventions for fans. And then he finally got to the point where he's like, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah. It's like Weird Al always puts his legs over the back of his head, and like, wonder at what age is he going to stop doing that?
Yeah, he's got to be 60 by now.
Yeah, or older.
Well, I'm 63. I've seen him in concert live.
Me too.
Did Dr. Demento, announce him and stuff?
No, not when I saw him.
Oh, he was here in San Francisco at the Warfield Theater, and he had Dr. Demento opening for him.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, probably only locally in California that happens, I bet.
Where are we at?
They're meeting the new people. The locals are going to help them carry stuff, and he don't realize about how big the trunk is going to be.
Yeah, it says, I'll give you $100 if you carry my luggage. And he's like,
yeah,
all right. Then
sure.
I want to know how that guy has a girlfriend that hot. That's what I want to know.
Well, she's pretty gross. She's got chewing tobacco and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bobby Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell said that he really liked that guy was a great friend, a good actor, and that, he passed away now. He's no longer with us.
When I was watching this last night and Joel kept asking me, he asked me later, like, why does everybody scream so much in that movie? And it makes you really conscious about like how much there are women screaming in this movie.
Yeah, and Ash himself, he screams all the time.
Yeah.
But they also know when to make it silent, There'll be like
that's right.
Sequence, and then it'll go quiet.
Almost like a pantomime silent, because things are still happening, but there's no dialogue. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the silence, all you can hear is the whistling of the wind,
Yeah. I like how the kitchen is full of like dirty dishes.
Ready for crockery bashing.
Yeah.
It's not a very romantic place to take your girlfriend to if it's a rundown shack full of like rotting food in the sink.
Well, when he told her when they were heading there in the car, she said, well, what if somebody comes home or whatever? And he goes like, nobody will come back, I think.
Yeah, they totally broke into this cabin in this movie. In Evil Dead 1, they rented it, but in this one, they broke in.
Look at that classic Saltines box on the floor.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder how Ash knew that this cabin was there.
I don't know.
Here comes the hand pulling him across the floor to the butcher knife.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how they did this. I guess someone must have been pushing him from his feet forward, and then he's acting with his hand like the hand is pushing his whole body.
He said that he did that himself. Like, apparently,
really,
you can't see his legs in these. And he's actually with his own feet and legs.
He's rotating his feet and pushing his body forward.
You can use your toes to push you forward like that. I tried that.
Sure. Yeah.
He's using a wall. He's flat pushing against a wall.
Oh, is he? Okay. Yeah. Like, he just stabbed it on the floor. It's like he's trying to get to the freaking cleaver, and he's like, who's laughing now?
Yeah, I love those lines.
My goodness. Here's the money shot, guys. Here's a money shot. Chainsaw to the hand.
This was always so intense when I was in high school, and now I'm so used to it. It's kind of like, okay.
And they cut to the silhouette,
Yeah.
All I can think is someone with a spray bottle just spraying blood on his face behind the camera. That's probably what they were doing.
It's a what they call a Hudson sprayer, which is kind of a big tank with a wand, that you use for like spraying bug spray and stuff.
Oh, like that stuff? Okay.
Yeah.
What's that called? A what wand?
A Hudson sprayer at any Home
Hudson
Depot.
Sprayer. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And you can, just put blood and water it down a bit so it'll spray real nice.
All right. Meanwhile, these poor people are heading to their doom through the woods. Somehow escaping the evil. I guess the evil is too worried with Ash right now to get that. But what do you guys think about the whole idea of the spirit of the woods? It does seem like sometimes the woods can be a bit intimidating.
I like it. I think that it's a very unusual, idea, and it's cheap. It's a great idea that doesn't cost a lot.
Well, and plot-wise, there's no other way for them to force everybody to stay in the cabin. Like, why would you stay? You just leave.
Right. Like in other movies, it would be a werewolf outside or zombies.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this close up on A Farewell to Arms.
They're all to arms.
Yeah.
And it was written by this guy who, it's not, Hemingway that says that it was written by. It was written by somebody who's an actor who was like a character actor.
Oh, I didn't see the name on it.
Yeah.
That was a funny joke with the bucket and the hand is going to start moving the bucket.
And what's funny about this whole movie is this was partially written by one of their good friends. I forget what his name is, Josh or something like that. Sam Raimi's brother, his older brother, not Ted, helped to write it. And so did this other guy, Scott Spiegel, I think his name is.
Scott Spiegel. That's right. Yeah. And produced by Robert Tappert.
Right. Who produced all the Xena and Hercules and all those shows.
Oh, man. I still watch some Xena, but I never watched Hercules.
Yeah, those were both produced over in New Zealand back in the day.
I saw one episode of Hercules back when it came out, and I thought, this is the worst CGI I've ever seen. And that was at the time, It's like, even for its time, it was awful.
Yeah.
It totally looked like somebody drew a cartoon onto the film strip, or onto the film.
This was all shot in North Carolina, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And you said something about New Zealand. What were you talking about, New Zealand?
Oh, that's where Xena was filmed, and Hercules.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And Rob Tappert was the producer on those shows. And, they, for years, for like a decade or more, that's why Bruce Campbell used to appear on episodes of Xena and Hercules and stuff.
I know that Evil Dead Rise was shot in New Zealand. So that's interesting. Oh, they're doing the scene where the hand is running through the walls.
And they're blasting it with a shotgun.
I never saw Xena because I hated Hercules so much that I figured Xena was going to be like that.
It kind of was.
But
I
I've heard that people that it holds up better, and people
it
big
has
fans
a cult
of Xena.
following. Yeah.
Oh, it was huge back in the day. Like when we went to the Comic-Con, there would be like 6 or 8 girls all dressed up as Xena.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Look at all the blood coming out.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, they said that this was done with a 55-gallon drum full of blood, and gravity was used. Like, what Sam Raimi wanted was for all of a sudden just gusher in his face, and they kept on having trouble. Like they built pumps and stuff, and it would start out like a low puddle, and then a little bit more, and then finally at the end it would go, like what he wanted, but he wanted it to go gush right off the bat. So they redesigned the thing. They put a 55-gallon drum full of blood, and Bruce Campbell got down on the ground beneath it, and they punctured it, so that the blood would all come out at once. And so he had to drown under 55-gallon blood, and
it looks like he's drowning. It looks like he's waterboarding him with fake blood.
Exactly, and he had to say to Sam Raimi, Sam, how long am I going to have to hold my breath, under this? And he's like, 55 gallons worth.
Yeah. Hey, look, that scene with the Shaq laughing is happening right now, and it's hilarious because he sits down in the chair collapses under his weight, and then the deer just starts laughing at him, and it's like, yeah, the demon is right. It is pretty funny.
Yeah.
It looks like the movie takes a moment here for the demon and Bruce Campbell to kind of laugh at it a little bit together.
That sequence where he's getting hit by the blood and Ash is going like, wow. That gets sampled by Gwar. They use that in their movies a lot when people are getting killed.
That's cool. Yeah, a lot of the sound effects, the weird noises like that the hand makes, that that's actually Sam Raimi making those noises.
Oh, really?
Yeah. With his mouth,
That's cool.
Yeah, they found this guy that was a really excellent sound designer type guy, and and Bruce Campbell spent hours and hours, creating like the, the wind and the, the echoes and the
creaking sounds and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's a big part of what makes this movie unique.
I agree totally.
I think. Not now, but further in the movie, the part where they're all the people are huddled inside the house and they're hearing those weird noises coming from everywhere, and whoosh, creak,
right? The demons outside.
And it's like they're moving their eyes here and there and stuff, and it's like, how does that translate to what is actually happening? Is it just noises they're responding to, or are they seeing something? It's like, it's a little confusing, but I see what he was trying to go for.
And it's interesting too, because it's like the spirit of the Evil Dead, right? The big thing that chases, that's got the camera on it. In the first movie, you always wanted to know what that thing looked like, and now they show you in this movie, which is really cool.
Yeah.
The one thing about this movie, though, that's more interesting, I think, is the fact that, like you said, there's other characters, and there's a lot more like humor and slapstick. It's the splat stick,
Yeah.
Is
this guy called Ed?
Yes, the boyfriend. His character's
all
name
three of
is
them
Ed.
are fighting now.
It's Ed and Annie, and then it's Jake and Bobby Joe.
Yeah.
Bobby Joe.
Yeah.
Bobby Joe.
Yeah, he forces them by gunshot, to get a shotgun, to go out and look for Bobby Joe.
Yeah, that's
Bobby Joe got she got some buckshot on her shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no kidding. The daughter Annie is like, "Where are my parents? What happened?" And she looks down.
She murdered my parents.
Covered in blood. It's like, it doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good for you, Bruce.
And also the wardrobe is kind of cool in this movie. Yeah. Like Bobby Joe's got the overalls, just like you'd expect him to have.
Yeah, like a Farmer Joe kind of guy.
Annie is dressed in kind of a preppy kind of outfit. Bobby Joe's got the Ohio tux, which is just basically denim from head to toe.
Right. Yeah. It's funny though, because those characters are just like 10 little Indians, like one by one, they get taken out.
Yep. Oh, here's the fruit cellar. They're going to dump him in the fruit cellar.
Yeah.
Bam.
He calls him a flat-mouthed son of a bitch. I always wondered, what does flat-mouthed mean?
That's a good one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
Yeah.
Like a flat foot, only a flat mouth.
Yeah. You flat-mouthed son of a bitch.
Do you guys have a favorite Deadite?
Well, in Army of Darkness, I do. The pit bitch is what I call it. We own a pit bitch.
Oh yeah, the one where they throw him inside the pit and it's like a dungeon kind of thing. Yeah, the witch hag. Yeah. To me, it's Henrietta. Henrietta to me is the most like well made of the Deadites. To me,
this film, yes.
Yeah,
I think the big spirit at the end that smashes its face through the house.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
Like a big train.
Yeah,
it's like a freight train made out of meat.
Yeah.
With big lights in the eyes and stuff.
I'm gonna have to use the animal on the wall. He's my favorite.
I love that library lamp on the table.
That
cool.
moves and laughs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, did you ever see there's an animation, computer animation short film by Pixar that has like a desk lamp that moves around?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a classic. Yeah. It's what they use for their logo.
Yeah, exactly. One interesting thing that I've thought about with this movie is that Ash really never gets a chance to explain to them what he's even doing there in the first place, or what happened to his girlfriend, or it's like there's so much happening so fast that he never really gets.
Well, I think once the pages of the book become evident that they're the cause, that the demon stuff are being brought out, and that it's causing people to be possessed and stuff.
And Henrietta's coming out of the floor now.
I think that the girl, she her father is the one that started all this with his finding the pages of the book, and so I think in a way she kind of understands what's happening.
Yeah,
someone's in my fruit cellar. Someone with a fresh soul.
Oh, and I love the way she says soul. She goes, a fresh soul.
Oh. Yeah. Henrietta, it's Ted Raimi himself.
Yeah.
That's great. I love the body that they sculpted for her and all that goopy stuff.
A big, thick foam rubber fat suit. And
probably really hot.
Poor skinny little Ted Raimi, had to wear this thing day in and day out for hours, like 15-hour days and stuff. And so at the end of the day, the effects crew guys, what they did was, it's a bodysuit that it's kind of like a zip up, but the feet are like booties, like rubber booties. So at the end of the day, they would remove the boot and it would have full of sweat. Like they would pour it out into a Dixie cup and mark it and put the date on it.
Yuck. That's gross. I remember for Nightbreed, the Berserker suits, they also had to hang them out to dry whenever the stuntman came out of those suits.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be all sweaty.
Nick's Vince had to wear one of those.
Right. Yeah, he was Ghost.
He was the white one.
And this marks the end of the life of the boyfriend in this movie, because after this, he's just going to turn into a deadite.
Right.
Oh, the eye.
So does she spit that out or swallow it?
I think she swallows it.
Oh, God.
That's why I can't, I'm not a big fluids guy when it comes to horror. So, I think I was telling you this last night.
Like everybody else who's a fluids guy.
We're all fluid guys.
Well, there's people who like seeing a lot of blood and stuff. This movie probably has more blood than Brain Dead. I don't know. I want to say.
But a lot of it is like black or green.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. They didn't want to get the MPAA on their butts.
Well, I was listening to, this is completely unrelated, but Kill Bill Part 1. When Uma Thurman is killing the Wild 88 or whatever, there's a part where it goes into like black and white, and that's because of that. It was a lot of blood, and they were like, "Can you make this part anime. Black and white?" Yeah,
it turned like anime,
like Grindhouse black and white or something for a while. But in this one, I mean, Nina, did I hear you say one of your favorite deadites was the deer head?
Yeah.
That's really good, right? The way they sculpt it.
Yeah.
It just looks evil.
Yeah, and it totally fools you into thinking that's just an animal head on the wall until it, suddenly becomes a puppet.
Right. Yeah. And you know what else is interesting is about that scene, with the eyeball? You know what they called that? The eyeball fly ball.
Eyeball fly ball.
Because it flies through the air and goes and lands in the mouth.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the boyfriend is laying on the couch with like something wrapped around his head, and
in my head, I always think he's going to say it's a trick, get an axe, but that's a different scene.
Yeah,
that's Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
So the actress that plays the human Henrietta, you're right. She's only there in a background shot with the professor, and now this scene in the trapdoor. So she probably was just there for maybe a day or so.
One day, probably. And, she's only sitting there rocking, and, I think she sings the lullaby at one point, and that's about it,
And I think, but they shot the movie. It took a while, right? I think they started in May and ended somewhere in like August. Something like that. I was in the making of, they said something like that.
I want to talk about this scene right here where she's telling the details of when she was born. And then Annie says, that thing in the cellar is not my mother. It's like, well, did she get the details wrong? I always wondered, like, what makes her yell that?
I think she has a moment of weakness, but then she understands that she's being played, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I think it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where if you're taken over by a deadite, you have access to all your memories and everything.
Yeah.
I love the way the deadites move, and they have their hands like with their fingers all curled up, and we are the things that were and will be again.
Yeah. And we're doing this in Z for zombie, but these really aren't zombies.
Well, they're reanimated, right? They're reanimated.
They're demons that are possessing people.
What you think a zombie is, because George Romero redefined what zombie was from the Haitian zombie.
That's right.
Right. Well, it's not any of those things. It's not George Romero zombies, and it's not Haitian zombies. These are possessed people that are.
Look at all the other movies since the 60s when George Romero came on the scene. All these Italian ones, all these, American, where it's everything from radioactivity to a disease like 28 Days Later,
When Annie screams at Bruce Campbell, "Where are you going? Help us, you filthy coward." It's like, lady, you don't know what he's been through already.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Green blood when he hacks him up.
It's like patriarchy.
Yeah.
And it's like, when the professor recording was talking, he said about Henrietta, I couldn't dismember her corpse, so I just dragged her into the fruit cellar. That's where I think that people get the idea that you have to dismember the deadites to defeat them.
Well, in the first movie, it says that. Actually, in the audio recording or whatever, by bodily dismemberment.
Yes.
And so because he couldn't chop up Henrietta, he actually says, so I buried her in the fruit cellar.
Yeah, so help me, I buried her corpse in the earthen floor of the fruit cellar.
Right. Which makes it cool. So when she comes out, they can use stop motion and stuff and make it go like, like breaking open. What do you guys think of the way that she transforms into this other creature with a big giant long neck?
And suddenly it goes from, speaking English to making like monkey sounds.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's just,
I think it's cool.
I think that's what they intend the Deadites to kind of look like, because that kind of face with the lumpy side and the weird sunken cheeks and the gnarly teeth in the front, that's what they kind of turn into all the time. So
so maybe that's kind of like their demon form.
The evil demon. But what I think is cool about the whole sequence is that they mix in some stop motion. I love stop motion.
Yeah.
For sure.
I do too.
Whenever we get some stop motion, I'm happy.
Yeah, and it's we're not seeing it so much anymore in newer movies.
And ironically, too, one of the cool things about that whole sequence is after the neck gets real long and the head is coming up out of the trapdoor, they stomp on the trapdoor and it pops the eyeball out.
That's
so
right.
This whole portion of this sequence, it just goes from one to another to another to another, and then the fly ball, and then she swallows it.
And now they're just listening to the creaking sound, which I think it's like someone's trying to break through our reality, right? And the house is kind of like groaning and that
like
evil presence.
The dimensions are
so there are actual physical things that are happening too, like the lamp moving and stuff like that that they're looking at.
It's like the presence is seeking a weak spot to break through, right?
Yeah, it's like supernatural, power is manifesting, and it's at that portal, which is like stretching and straining to let the evil.
Now, my question to you guys is, do you think that's her dad? Because he will show up at one point.
Definitely.
They got the same actor, and they put like whitish makeup on him so that he could be like a guardian spirit, trying to
break into and warn us that what she needs to do.
Right, and his soul is trapped.
It's a great sequence. It's pretty scary.
My question is this the Anobi's summer cabin, or did the Nobis actually just live here?
I think this is summer cabin because he went there to translate. I think he wanted peace and quiet.
Yeah.
And also I want to say probably the professor didn't know what would happen when he translated that stuff. I mean,
no, of course not, or else he wouldn't have said it out loud.
Well, I mean, he went to a secluded place because he didn't know if anything could go wrong. But then why would he take his wife?
Place just to be alone and study uninterrupted, not at campus, not where he'd be getting phone calls and things. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, what the heck happened, with his Henrietta? Like, in other words, when he was alone, there's a whole other movie right there, a prequel to the Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
One of the things that is often overlooked, and people don't talk much about it, is the dagger that's right next to the book.
Yeah.
Because the dagger is really important.
The what? Dagger.
Yes, the Kandarian dagger. It's people usually don't talk much about that, but that is a wild prop, man. That's like, it looks like it's made out of bone shards and it's got tiny little skulls.
I know Tom Sullivan, the guy who worked on the first film, and I think I told you about it when we watched the first film, about the fact that he used, a plastic model kit skull and chicken bones and stuff for the first movie one. But this one is a brand new sculpture that the guys, from the Mark Sjostrom's team, Greg Nicotero and all them, somebody sculpted that, and they did make the blade look like some sort of vertebrae.
Instead of looking like just a piece of sheet metal or whatever.
Right. And
I like a lot. I think this design is very nice.
Yeah. They don't talk much about the knife itself in this movie. It's mostly used to stab things once Annie grabs a hold of it. But I don't remember hearing anything about what was that dagger, or what was the role of the dagger.
Right, because in the first movie, it had the power to just kill a deadite. If you stabbed him, it would suck all the life out of him.
Yeah,
but in this movie, it doesn't seem that way.
Here's the professor's ghost.
Yeah.
Well, somebody gets stabbed in the back. I forget who it is, and they can't reach it. They're
Annie does when she's translating the passages.
Yeah.
Oh, this is pretty effective.
But she completes it. She's dying, and she goes ahead and completes it, which opens up the portal at the end.
Right.
What's about that dagger is, believe it or not, last time we looked on Trick or Treat Studios website, they're offering that dagger as a prop you can purchase.
Oh, that's cool.
I just gave him free publicity.
Dispel the evil, save my soul and your own lives.
Yeah, and then what drives me crazy is stupid Jake. After this, he calls it a bunch of voodoo mumbo jumbo. It's like, a ghost just told you that it was helpful.
Right. He refuses to believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a great part here, but it's funny because it says, well, obviously there's a way to summon the evil. There should be a way to dispel the evil.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that, Jake being kind of a, redneck or whatever, like maybe he would be a Christian or a Baptist or something. And
sure. Like,
yeah.
Like, and Bobby just stupidly runs out. I think we lost Ed. Did we lose Ed?
Yeah, it looks like it says they're connecting back to audio.
That's okay. We'll just wait for them to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Bobby Joe just ran out of the cabin. That's not a smart move.
No, yeah, that's one of the you guys dropped out for a few seconds.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyways,
this is one of the dumbest things in the movie. Is her running out of the cabin away from her friends. Like, no, you should probably stick together.
Her boyfriend, especially a big, strong, big guy.
I like that he didn't use day for night, and even though this night sequence in the woods is full of floodlights, but at least we can see.
Yeah.
Hey, here's the rapey molesty tree.
Yeah.
Well, it's not quite as bad in this one as it was in the first.
First one, right?
Yeah.
But those little vines going inside her face and under her skin. Oh,
skin. Yeah. Stop motion.
Yeah, it's actually reversed, right? I think.
Well, some of it, it's all combined, mixed up.
So he does something. Sam Raimi does something with the footage sometimes that makes it seem hyper realistic or something, and I'm not sure what it is, but I think it might be. Do you think he has extra frames in here, or?
Well, he does change the frame rates.
He does, right? That's what I get the feeling from. Yeah.
Sometimes slow motion, sometimes it's super fast, speeded up. I mean, just depends. But this is the movie where, when Ash gets on the toward the end, when he's being spun around and around, he's heading towards the vortex, at the end, they had to build a giant rig for him to be connected to that was on a crane, and they had to find a road that was smooth blacktop asphalt with, no telephone poles or houses or anything around, so they could drive along on this crane, a mobile crane, a crane that's on a truck, and
a dolly
connected to it, and he's spinning around, and they had to do it at different speeds. Sam Raimi wanted a motor connected to it so he could run it real slow or medium or fast, and poor Bruce Campbell is stuck on that thing.
Yeah, and he's getting whacked with branches and stuff.
Right, because the other men, who were part of the crew, crew members that were handling props and stuff had branches, and they would run by and smack them with them and stuff.
Oh, here's the prophecy sequence where they're looking at the pages and they see a drawing of a man at Kandar Castle holding up an arm that looks like it's holding a saw.
Yeah.
Right. It's Bruce.
Yeah, and he says he was supposed to have destroyed the evil, and he goes, well, he didn't do a very good job.
The book is a wonderful prop, but it's also doesn't really feel like a book. It's very simplified because it's a lot more visual than a book, right? Most of the pages are just drawings, and then there's like these drawn symbols on it.
Yeah.
It
makes it a nice character for the movie, I think.
That's
I actually
true.
had a copy, I actually was holding in my hands, the real movie prop from the first film, because I was friends with Tom Sullivan, and there are pages in the book that are just what look like words on the page, but they're just like hieroglyphic symbols and stuff.
Yeah. I'm running the show now.
Yeah.
Oh, you idiot. Of course. You'll kill us all.
Yeah, he just beats the living crap out of Ash with the butt of his gun and stuff.
Yeah, remember the first thing that happens when they find Ash in the cabin? They kick him in the head and he goes flying down the stairs backwards.
I wonder if this guy's teeth are dentures, because they look nasty.
They are. Yeah. That's how he got the job. Bruce was saying that they had an audition and he came in and he did, his audition, and after it was over, he felt like he didn't really get the part, or he didn't really give it his all. And he said, like, hey guys, I could take out my teeth, and he took out his teeth and he only had like 4 teeth. And they said,
my God.
You're hired.
You're hired. Oh, look at this great shot of the cabin when they're walking out in the porch and you see the floodlights inside just shining through all the busted wood and stuff on the windows. And then the chimney is just letting off. I don't even know it's supposed to be smoke or evil fog just coming out of that chimney. It's so thick. And I think people have asked Bruce Campbell where the cabin is, and he keeps saying the same thing. It's like, I'm going to tell you, don't go try to find the cabin in the woods. It's in private property. You might end up with some buckshot on your ass.
Right, and also it burned down.
Yeah.
Not there. It's just an ash.
Oh, these trees. Looks like the trees themselves are gnarly and corrupted, right?
Yeah.
They're all creaky, and it looks like they're all split down the middle, and their branches are slowly like moving like tentacles or something.
You know what else about the cabin is there was only one cabin in the very first film. And if you know anything about that, they had to do so much work to make it usable for their purposes. And then in this movie, it's just a model,
Yeah.
And sets.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know it from watching the movie.
No, that's what's great about it.
Yeah.
I love model work. I did model work on Dead Pit.
And I feel like you go back 20, 30 years and people would suspend their disbelief for less than they do now. And nowadays people are very quick to jump to, oh, this isn't realistic, or this, this should be different. This should be more greedy.
Young people don't have a.
But for us,
well,
this
and
kind
also
of stuff is just perfect.
Even their attention span for watching movies at all is it's a little scary for the film, industry, because it's like, they'd rather watch YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
and
true.
to some extent, suspension of disbelief is like, you're watching a movie. You never believe it's real, but it's just like you just get immersed in it. It's more like immerse yourself in the movie.
Yeah, but movies that are like the 30s and 40s, like Wizard of Oz and stuff, you suspend your disbelief,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
well,
right.
and the even if they have a super low budget and the effects don't look very good, the performances should be drawing you in and letting you kind of go along on the ride.
Well, that's what these are. Bruce Campbell is a great performer.
Oh, this great shot here. Bruce Campbell is turned into a demon. It's like, you're next, Danny.
Yeah.
Join us. Oh, it's so good. I love that makeup that they made up for Ash. It's so scary.
With his big chin.
Well, you can't blame Annie for wanting to chop him up with an axe, even when he's better, because like that's sort of what you're supposed to do with everybody else. Why is he special?
Didn't they chop her boyfriend's head in half already?
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a mask of that, but it's not chopped in half.
She hasn't really had any time to grieve her boyfriend guy.
Right. Nor her parents. She gets there.
I know.
Dad or dead,
Yeah.
And she thinks Bruce did it.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think of just the fact that this is a series and, that they had to make this kind of a remake of the first movie? What do you think of that? The fact that they couldn't get the footage of their own film.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I really love this movie, and I think it's totally fine that it kind of overlaps the first one. I like the first movie too on its own merits, but it's really more of a straight on horror movie, and this one is horror comedy, and it's feels more like, this is like more the perfect movie for what Sam Raimi wanted.
It's definitely Sam Raimi all through.
Yeah.
He loves comedy.
Yeah. I think it's fun to watch this evolution of this vision of Sam Raimi from in the Woods to
Evil Dead to Evil Dead 2. Yeah.
To Evil Dead 2 and all that. So
Darkness.
It's just him trying to make the movie that he wanted to make. And I think with this second one, it really kind of it's the best of the franchise for me.
Yeah.
And Army of Darkness goes a little over the top, but it's still a lot of fun to watch.
Well, I mean, at the time of this one came out, I remember thinking that this was over the top, compared to when you're used to seeing the first movie.
Right.
I liked as a teenager, I liked Evil Dead 1 better because I thought this was too silly.
Yeah, all the laughing and the crazy Bruce going insane and stuff.
Yeah. Right now he's slamming. You see the shots of him slamming himself against the door with his fists raised, and it's such great lighting. You see the gels, the red gels behind him, like making it feel like there's the evil presence outside and all that stuff. But to me, this is like his big,
magnus opus.
Yeah, magnus opus. Yeah, I would say that.
Well, and even what happens at the end of this movie, they rewrite it when they made Army of Darkness.
Right.
And people never pull a knife out of someone. Never pull a knife out of someone.
Well, especially when it's all like serrated like that with bones, it would just do more damage pulling it out.
Yeah.
Not unless you want them to bleed out like that one does.
Well, right. Yeah, and now he's saying he can't breathe, so it must have like punctured his lung, and she's dragging him, and that must make it worse.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be an Easter egg somewhere here with a glove of Freddy Krueger.
Yes, because
in the cabin basement.
In the first movie, they had the Hills Have Eyes poster down in the basement, which is a Wes.
Yeah.
And then in this movie, they put a Freddy glove, which is another, nod to Wes Craven. Just like how in the original Halloween, John Carpenter put in a TV scene of The Thing, the original black and white The Thing.
Yeah.
And that was his next movie.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because it's like, would Professor Noby really have a poster of The Hills Have Eyes?
Right. But it's cute, it's cool.
Yeah.
Then on 2013, they brought back Evil Dead franchise, and they made kind of remake of this movie in 2013. So I haven't watched
with a female.
Yeah, I think so, with a woman.
Yeah, that's right.
But I haven't seen that one yet. And then there was Evil Dead Rise last year, and I haven't seen that one either. But now I want to go back and watch those two and see if there's any.
I've seen the 2014 one. But not the
remake,
not the
one
new
that's called Evil Dead again.
Yeah.
Evil Dead, like Candyman, just Candyman.
Right.
The trailer looked really good, so I should probably maybe I'll watch it now for the Memorial Day weekend because I'm not working.
In a way, I kind of felt like Evil Dead already had a remake. It's this,
right.
Yeah.
But the new one, actually was directed by Ferde Alvarez, who is the same director who's directing that new Alien movie that's about to come.
That's right.
And
here comes the scene where I posted about this last night, where Ash is demonic Ash kneels beside Annie, and look at. Did you notice that the little pendant on the floor, the chain makes a skull drawing?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that's cool. And he's just like it's touching something deep into his soul, where he's like, oh yeah, I remember love, I remember my girlfriend. He's getting his humanity like coming out again. That's
nobody else seems to be able to transform back into a regular human being.
Yeah.
He's the chosen one.
Yeah.
He is the chosen one. That's right. And he goes like, ah. That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. Yeah. We're back just with Ash and the girl in the cabin. It's like back where we started from.
Right.
Well, and I think they needed this because it seemed like, he didn't really mourn Annie as much as not Annie, I mean Linda, as much as he mourned his hand. Like he was really upset about his hand.
Give me back my hand.
Yeah.
And now we got a nice axe fight here.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, no, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Let me chop you.
But like you said, I mean, she doesn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And then what else do I have here?
But what's interesting is that Ash, Evil Dead, I mean, Bruce Campbell, after that TV series, I don't think he's going to be able to play this guy very much longer, if ever.
Yeah.
He's just too old.
I mean, we've gotten as much as we could possibly hope for. I mean, with that Evil Dead TV show, that's amazing that they were able to put that together. I think everybody should just watch that too.
Yeah, I wish I could have seen it. I mean, before I went blind, I saw a little tiny bit from it, some trailers and things like that.
Yeah,
and I followed, the behind the scenes and the story line, for the timeline and everything. So I know what happens, and I know that what's her name, the lady that played Xena, Lucy Lawless. I think she might have married Rob Tapert, the producer of Evil Dead and of Xena and all that. And so she's in those Evil Dead TV.
Yep, that's right. So one thing I noticed watching this last night in this montage of Ash putting this chainsaw together is that actually Annie helped him, with doing all this work to make the chainsaw. To make the chainsaw so you could run it just without pulling the trigger and,
oh, dude,
all of that stuff.
So
she was you could see her hands helping with all that, and I never noticed that before.
Yeah, he had to have somebody help him. He only had one hand.
Yeah, yeah.
He of course he uses the chainsaw to cut off his shotgun to a sawed-off shotgun. And now I love the fact that the tree is uprooting itself.
Yeah.
That is such great stop motion animation there. Yeah. When I saw this, I was like, holy crap, now the whole woods are moving.
It's like the woods from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Are you saying my apples ain't what they ought to be?
They're going to try to retrieve the pages from Henrietta's fruit cellar.
Yeah, and I guess because what's his name, the Jake had the keys for that padlock, right? So that's why he had to cut open the door.
Yeah, now he's out in the woods somewhere with his head smashed against a...
No, he got dragged into the cellar by Henrietta.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Henrietta. That's right.
Yeah.
But he was swallowed.
Swallowed soul. And
you see his skeletal body in the cellar in a minute.
Yeah, like Henrietta really chewed all the meat out of the bones, huh?
Did a number on his ass.
Yeah. Well, we saw all that blood come out. It was like a pool of... Oh, there's
like
Freddy's glove.
Wasn't it like a gusher?
I just saw Freddy's glove by the door in the basement.
Oh, really?
That's cool. Yep. See the claws up there? Yep. It was right next to the door. Oh, he's gonna open the door. Look at all the gourds hanging from the ceiling. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
That's what fruit cellars have in them.
Yeah.
According to this movie.
Yeah, gourds.
Someone's in my fruit cellar.
This cellar just keeps going, and it's all these dripping faucets and stuff.
Yeah, that's creepy. Creepy.
Well, I mean, this is kind of like in Army of Darkness, this part in the flooded base of the cellar reminds me of the pit bitch in the third movie.
Exactly, because there's water on the ground in there too.
Yep. And he's got his... I love how he does the same thing Arnold did in Terminator 2 with a shotgun, where he kind of like reloads it using one hand, which actually is really hard to do and almost broke Arnold Schwarzenegger's hand doing that.
Oh.
Yeah. And this also reminds me a little bit of Nightmare on Elm Street, right? The beginning when you see all the hot pipes and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Jake.
Yeah.
Still wearing his overalls, but he's a skeleton now.
Overalls. Not overhauls.
Overalls. Thank you. Because it goes over everything. All of your clothes. Hey, found the pages. They're a little wet.
Yeah.
I like how he's going to throw the whole wad of pages to Annie, and she grabs them as if it's something that wouldn't fall apart immediately when he throws it.
Yeah. Because it was done in reverse motion.
Right.
Yeah. Well, one thing that bugs me is just seeing those pages sitting in the mud. And like, these are 3,000 years old and they got dumped in the mud.
Well, when Ash breaks the glass to take them out, I mean, he could just have told Annie, hey, can you open this thing?
That's true. It had
it on the floor.
It had a hinge and stuff. You could just
open it. And it's got all those chunky bits of glass, which you can tell are just that weird contraption.
Sugar glass.
They just pour it flat and then it just becomes this fake glass, but it's just super chunky.
Yeah.
Do we still have Ed here with us?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, it says he's connecting to audio again.
That's okay. And here's Annie approaching the cellar again.
Hi, we got somehow dropped.
That's okay.
I saw that.
Didn't miss much, but Henrietta's rising from the trapdoor now and attacking Annie. Oh, look at that body. Look at that the gross body with all the meat, rotten meat and bloated.
Yeah, and there's
limbs.
sort of a weird her stomach has sort of a weird impression like of intestines on a shape.
And all of a sudden when Bruce Campbell rises from the cellar, he's kind of morphed into the Ash now, right? I mean,
the hero,
the hero, because he's almost like the torn shirt and all that stuff. Kind of reminds me of Doc Savage or something. What was that?
Oh, wow.
that hero,
or Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and he's got all those belts and all those buckles and stuff.
You know what's funny is that those guys, Sam Raimi and them, they were going to make a spoof comedy of Indiana Jones that was going to be called Montana Smith or something.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Wow.
Been fun to him.
The Kandarian demon has morphed again. It's got like this tentacle-like head with that crazy-looking skull.
And it headbutts him.
And it sounds like a monkey, right?
Yeah.
Right. Which I think this is Clive picked monkey sounds as well.
Yeah. And she distracts a demon by saying that little rhyme, right?
Right, because it kind of gets through to Henrietta a little bit.
It's so crazy how
baby, don't say a word.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how that head can look slightly confused and concerned at one point.
Yeah.
Oh, we just got the head chop.
Oh, with the trap door, you mean? Or the boy that
you just cut the head of the demon.
Oh, okay. So now
swallow your soul. Swallow your soul.
So now the head is gonna get chomped on by the trap door.
He's got a one-liner. His transformation into the hero is complete.
Yep.
Swallow this. And zoom into the guy as he puts the shotgun in his back.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. This is where the movie really becomes awesome.
That's like where he puts the samurai sword back.
Right. And that this version of Ash is amplified like tenfold in Army of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He's got a lot more cockiness.
Yeah, and superpowers as far as like fighting the Deadites.
Yeah. He's the chosen one.
Yeah.
And basically he's going to be, after the third movie, he's going to be trapped in kind of like this time loop of sorts, right? Because remember when he saw the page, the Kandarian page with the guy holding like the saw in his hand and people around him. And he says, this is the guy who defeated the evil. And it's like, he didn't do a good job. And it's going to be him. So he's going to be trapped about going back in time and coming back to the present and, whatever.
Well, the story about how in Army of Darkness, how they had a couple of different endings, right?
That's right, right? There was one where he was supposed to sleep and he would sleep too long.
Like he was
that was the European ending.
And then the other version is where he's back in his job at like the Kmart store, S-Mart.
S-Mart.
That's the one I saw. That's the one I saw.
The Kandarian demon person shows up and starts doing all these backflips and stuff. And he pulls out a shotgun from the housewares department or whatever. And and blasts it.
Yeah.
Well, as far as those two endings go, I think I would prefer the one where he sleeps too long, because the other one is kind of silly, and I think it's a little too silly at the end.
But if you have that ending, then you can't have Ash versus Evil Dead because he would have been asleep that whole time.
Right, but I never got into the show. So here's the giant monster made flesh.
Yeah,
I love that the flowers behind Ash wilt immediately, and his hair goes white slightly on the side.
Right, because the evil has affected him.
Does he have that white patch of hair in Army of Darkness? I don't remember that.
He should, yeah.
Huh. Okay.
I don't remember.
It's been a while. Oh, the hand stabbed Annie with the Kandarian dagger.
Yeah, that hand, man, you just can't get rid of it.
Yeah, it's his worst enemy. It's like the anti It's the anti-Thing.
Yeah.
From the Addams Family, because Thing is a good-natured hand.
And at this point, she just read there's to dispel the evil. There's two parts from the incantation. One, you bring the evil into physical form, and two, you open up the gate and send it back to wherever. And she hasn't done the second part yet.
Right. Because she dies, right?
Well, not yet.
Yeah, now she has.
Yeah. So she just reads the second part. And then we see that that portal starting to pull the Oldsmobile.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, man.
Which is good that the Oldsmobile goes back in time with him, because from that he can build, all kinds of things. Like he has, just so happens in the trunk, he has a giant thick college book on chemistry and how to make gunpowder and how to create alloys of metal, and and he's in the shop of the medieval castle building himself a hand one-handedly.
Right. He's just sticking his chainsaw in the monster's eye.
And in Army of Darkness he also has infinite gas and shotgun shells.
Right. And no problem with the battery of the car, nothing.
Yeah.
I also love the battering trees at the shack. That was really well done for miniatures. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the model work is very good in this film.
And now it's like, oh, the portal's not done. I like how the stove almost hits him when it's
yeah. So I wonder if like Annie had a passage to close the portal and she just didn't, she died before she could read it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that was the whole point, was that they were trying to close the portal, get the evil out of our dimension and then close it.
I think the portal still needed him because he's supposed to go back in time to be part of the prophecy. So I think that's why the portal is still there. It's like, it's not done yet. We need you too.
Well, yeah, it's also destiny because it happened already.
That's
correct.
Right.
Yep.
And I love the weird 2001 sequence here.
Yeah, the effects are cool. The traveling through the dimension.
Yeah.
You arrive, and the first person that screams out is Sam Raimi himself, saying, "Hail to the Savior from the skies," or whatever.
Yeah. Hail to he who has come from the skies to deliver us from the terrors of the Deadites.
There goes the Oldsmobile, and there goes Ash.
He is.
Slam!
And a tree.
And one of the trees.
Yeah.
So where is this is Kandar Castle? Is that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
In the first one, wasn't that book written in old Sumer language or something?
No, I think it was Kandarian.
It
Okay,
was inked in human blood and written on human skin.
Nice. And someone raided a Deathstalker wardrobe here.
Yeah.
I love this floating deadite.
Yeah. And
so you mean the winged deadite, the
Yeah.
flying one? That's
in Army of Darkness, the time between them not trusting him and him proving himself is a lot longer than what we get in the ending here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. This is just
a
quick way of getting them to understand he's not evil.
Yeah, this is like a short
and that he's fulfilling the prophecy.
Right.
Those are some decent looking armors too.
I have some armor like that too. There's a place in New York that makes, reasonably priced, several $100s, but reasonably priced medieval looking armor.
Hey, there is Sam Raimi. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hail to the man who comes from the sky.
Has he got shit all over him?
How do you know he's the director? He ain't got shit all over him.
I like how he's just screaming, no, because it's like he's understanding, oh no, I'm going to have to keep doing this, and now I'm the guy in the prophecy.
I'm stuck in the loop.
Yeah.
Which is funny, he says, like, on his, commentary track and stuff like that, that like in modern writing and stuff, you don't find scripts that have no with oh.
Yeah.
I think this movie could be its own thing. I mean, it could have just been this, and it would still be a cool movie.
Well, it was for a long time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 1987 all the way to, was it 92, I think, for the Army of Darkness?
Sure. Yeah, this film came out in 86, I believe, or 87.
87.
Right.
Yeah, and then when Army of Darkness came out, it was a little bit before
it was in the 90s.
Before we started realizing that, hey, wait a minute, this is Evil Dead 3.
Right.
Because the title didn't clue you in about that.
You know what they wanted to call it?
No.
The Medieval Dead.
Oh, okay. Medieval Dead. I know that when they did Evil Dead Rise last year, for a while they were thinking about doing either a sequel to Army of Darkness or a sequel to the remake from 2018, and then they ended up making Evil Dead Rise, which was a completely different story. So, and then I think they had the idea to bring a new Evil Dead movie to the franchise every 2 or 3 years. So we'll see how that goes after Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, I think that, Bruce Campbell and the guys, they just want to keep making money from this franchise if they can.
Yeah, and that's good if it's good for Bruce Campbell, that's good. I mean, I don't need any more. I mean, I think that these newer ones are not as exciting as the old ones.
Howard Berger, Robert Kurtzman, Greg Nicotero, Mike Tursick, Shannon Shea, Aaron Sims, Brian Tursick.
Shannon Shea and Brian Tursick. I mean, Mike Tursick. But, the cool thing about the Evil Dead franchise is that they could go so long. Look at how many years. I mean, from 86.
Did I lose everybody?
Nope, still here.
We're still here.
I can't hear anything.
I'm still here. Can you hear me? Still here, Ryan.
I was just talking about how long this franchise has been going.
Yeah. And it got nominated for a Saturn Award in 88 for Best Horror Film. It got nominated for a Saturn Award for Best Makeup for Mark Sjöström.
Maybe I'm the one who dropped.
You're back. I see your picture again.
Yep. And then it was also nominated for 1988 Saturn Award for Best Special Effects. Vern Hyde, Doug Beswick, Tom Sullivan.
Yeah, Doug Beswick is the guy that was involved with the stop motion of the girl.
Well, the credits are still going. I guess if the recording's not going to get anything from Jose and Ed and Nina, I would say I love this movie, and I'm really happy to get to watch it again.
Yeah, I'm here. We hear you.
We're not being recorded anymore?
I think so. I think we are.
Oh, mine says this is being recorded.
No, I think Ryan stopped hearing us. I'm not sure what happened.
Okay. Well, we could keep.
Well, Zoom might still be keeping track of it, so you'll know.
And that's the end of the credits.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mark Sjöström went on to he's been a teacher in
Evil Dead 2, the sequel to the ultimate experience in grueling terror, was filmed in Wadesboro, North Carolina and Detroit, USA.
And it wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for Dino De Laurentiis.
No. All right, guys. So, thank you so much for joining us for this. Sure. And we got more stuff coming up. Have a great weekend.
We enjoy this film. Thank you.
What can we expect coming up next?
Yeah, so we'll continue to do news episodes, and we're gonna all obviously follow this one up with Army of Darkness, and that I think will be our last Z for Zombies, episode. And then we'll continue on with more Boom Hellraiser talk about the Dark Watch comics and Quartet of Torment Disc 2 and Jericho Squad again. And actually, as people are listening to this, our Jericho Squad episode is going to be live. Will be posted
this weekend.
Our most current one,
May 26th.
I just finished editing that at 1:00 in the morning.
Oh my God! Thanks for doing that. All right, so a lot of good stuff coming, and as usual, this podcast having no beginning will have no end.
Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have subscribed. You can find the Clive Barker Podcast wherever you find audio. Show notes for this episode, as well as news and reviews, can be found at our website at www.clivebarkercast.com. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial podcast and blog that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans. You can chat with us on our Facebook BarkerCast listeners group, our Facebook page, Twitter, or our Discord server. The best way to support us is to buy our book, The BarkerCast Interviews Occupy Midian, available in hardcover on Amazon and ebook on Amazon and Apple Books.
Fundraiser 10 is all about Patreon this year. Become a patron to get access to exclusive stuff, pick an episode topic, and maybe even get cool stuff in the mail. You can also buy a t-shirt on our TeePublic store. Go to teepublic.com and search for BarkerCast. Leave a message for us using the SpeakPipe link on our blog. Opening and ending music generously provided by Ray Norrish.
Thanks for listening.